Welcome to Exploitation Reviews, and me, Rob, and today I'm counting down my favorite punk movies. For the purposes of this list, I'm looking at narrative films, not documentaries. So the decline of Western civilization, filmage, Ouija Meccano, etc. will not be on the list. Also, last time I had some punk content on my channel, I got some really nasty comments. So if you have strong views about what I say or what my politics are, I kindly invite you to type out your comments. And then print those comments on some fine-grained sandpaper and then shove those comments straight up your ass. Number 10, Rock and Roll High School. This is a silly and stupid teensploitation movie from producer Roger Corman, and it's awesome. The story here is that Riff, played by PJ Soles, who horror fans will know from Halloween, wants to go to the Ramones concert and meet the Ramones, but to do so, she'll have to outsmart the evil principal. With a cast of Roger Corman regulars, including Dick Miller, and music from one of the best bands to ever exist, this is essential viewing. But it is a stupid movie, so keep that in mind. Number 9, CBGB. If you know anything about punk, you know it started in New York and it started at a venue called CBGB. This movie is a biopic of sorts about CBGB's owner and founder Hilly Crystal and how he got the club off the ground. I know the movie isn't 100% accurate, I know it leaves out a lot of significant bands that passed through CBGB, like the Misfits, Bad Brains, and the New York Dolls, but still, the music that is here is great. Hilly is an interesting and at times frustrating character. He was a terrible businessman, but you know what? Being bad at business is pretty punk anyway. Number 8, SLC Punk. What's it like being a punk in America's most conservative town? Well, it's still pretty fun, it turns out. Matthew Lillard turns in an impressive performance here, doing both comedy and drama very, very well. Plenty of fun moments, and some heartfelt ones as well. I do have some issues with the message of the film, but the movie is too charming for me to be too turned off by that. Also, this movie introduced punk to a lot of kids from my generation. Not me, I had a mohawk years before this came out. But you know, lots. Number 7, Terror Firmer. One of the core principles of punk is do it yourself, DIY. Don't like soulless, self-indulgent corporate music? Make your own music. Don't like movie review channels with humorless poser assholes? Make your own review channel. And when it comes to DIY filmmaking, nobody is more punk than Lloyd Kaufman, which is why his films attract an army of freaks, outcasts, and other punks to help get these movies made and find an audience. I could have gone with any number of Lloyd Kaufman films, but I picked Terror Firmer because it's a trauma movie about making a trauma movie. It's a DIY project about a DIY project. How perfect is that? The story here is a slasher is terrorizing a trauma film production. Who is it? Why are they doing it? Will the movie ever be finished? It's funny, it's irreverent, it's gross, it's trauma. A lovely cast of characters and one hell of a great punk soundtrack featuring bands like NoFX, Vandals, The Melvins, and many more. Number 6, Suburbia. Penelope Spheris, the director of The Decline of Western Civilization, wrote and directed this punk family drama of sorts, and Roger Corman produced it. The story is about a group of punk kids who leave their families and start their own non-traditional family squatting in an abandoned house. And for the most part, these aren't actors, they're street kids and punk rock musicians. One of the main characters here, in fact, is played by a baby flea. The film features live performances by punk bands TSOL, DI, and the Vandals. Due to the amateur cast, the acting here is far from great, but what a cool project. Get a bunch of punk kids together and make a movie. Gotta love that. Number 5, Repo Man. This is a cult classic for a reason. Emilio Estevez plays a suburban punk who needs a job and starts working as a repo man. His trainer is the always amazing Harry Dean Stanton. Oh, and somewhere in the city is a car with an alien in the trunk. The sense of humor here is quirky and original and hilarious, and the satire of American consumer culture works really well. Full of quotable lines and memorable scenes, Repo Man is awesome. Oh, and keep a lookout for that nightclub band. That's the legendary hardcore punk band, The Circle Jerks. Number 4, Green Room. A touring punk band desperate for a gig plays at a neo-Nazi bar. There, they witness a murder and then find themselves trapped in the green room backstage with the Nazis outside wanting to disappear them. This is a horror siege film and it does not pull any punches. It's dark, it's brutal, and it's scary as hell. Bolstered by great performances, including one from Patrick Stewart as a very effective villain, Green Room is well worth a look. Especially if you like the director's previous film, Blue Ruin. Number 3, Bomb City. Bomb City is the true story about the murder of Brian Dennehy. In 1997, there was a small punk scene in Amarillo, Texas, and it being Texas, the punks had troubles with the police and the jocks from the local high school. One day the jocks went too far, beating up a punk, and his friends, including Brian Dennehy, had enough. They grabbed some weapons, chains, bats, stuff like that, and went to the parking lot where the jocks were hanging out to throw down. And it was there that a local jock in a big car ran Brian over, killing him. One subtle detail I liked a lot in this film is that when the police broke up jock parties, they let everyone go with a warning. But when they broke up punk parties, everyone got tickets or arrested. Same situation, teens drinking and partying, two different legal consequences. And of course, during the trial, Brian's police record was used as evidence against his character. Almost as if he deserved to be murdered. It's an infuriating story which, were it not true, would be unbelievable. And of course, it did nothing to improve my view of police. Number 2, Dinner in America. From something heavy to something light, a punk romantic comedy. I just watched this for the first time relatively recently and loved it. A punk rocker, Simon, is on the lam after smashing her window and setting some bushes on fire. He meets Patty and hides out at her house. Turns out Patty is a huge fan of a local punk band and is infatuated with the band's singer, the mysterious John Q. No one knows who he is, but Patty will soon find out. Over the course of a few days, Simon and Patty beat up some jock bullies, play arcade games, record a really catchy song, and fall in love. It's funny, it's heartwarming, and it's punk as fuck. Before getting into my top pick, here are a few honorable mentions. Class of 1984. I like this movie a lot, but despite some punk fashion and some punk on the soundtrack, it never really felt like a punk movie to me. A dystopian revenge film? Yeah, but punk? Nah, not really. What We Do is Secret. I love the Germs, but I don't love this movie. It doesn't have the right tone for a Derby Crash biopic. It's too after-school special-y. But Shane West was so good as Darby that the Germs hired him to be their singer, so that's something. Sid and Nancy. Well, I never liked Sid Vicious. He was an idiot drug addict who couldn't be bothered to learn the basics of playing bass even after being hired by a significant band in the English punk scene. What a degenerate loser. So maybe that colors my view of the film a little, but even putting that aside, I really hated Nancy in this movie. She was so annoying and her voice just grated on me. Gary Oldman was great as usual, but I just don't see the point in watching a historically inaccurate movie about two people I have no respect for. Number 1, Return of the Living Dead. There are a few movies I think are basically perfect. Jaws, Casablanca, Die Hard, Back to the Future, RoboCop, and Return of the Living Dead. This movie is a perfect storm of everything I love. Zombies, punks, humor, gore, practical effects, and nudity, and it does every one of those things very well. Go watch this movie. So, agree with my list? Disagree? Let me know in the comments, but don't forget that sandpaper.